Welcome back to Tipton Bros. Today, we'll be discussing the Japanese Kyushu J7W Shinden prototype fighter. Design, development, performance, and the outcome of this peculiar aircraft will be provided. Before we begin, I must disclose that I am no expert and never claim to be. Information, while widely available, can be conflicting, so I do apologize for any errors I may make. Now, let's get into it. The origins of the Kyushu J7W Shinden fighter stem from a single design element implemented in early 1943. Lieutenant Commander Masayoshi Tsuruno, a technician for the Imperial Japanese Navy, would advocate for the use of a canard-based design for many future aircraft. To briefly clarify, a canard or canard-based design is a platform where a small forewing is placed forward of the main wing structure, usually parallel or just aft of the cockpit. I'll throw a photo on screen to help illustrate the layout. Tsuruno believed the design would be capable of comfortably retaining a turbojet when the technology was proven to be reliable. While this idea would never materialize, the foundation of a canard-based platform would move forward in development. The Japanese Naval Air Technical Arsenal would mold Masayoshi's blueprint into the role of a glider. 3 glider designs would emerge, with each utilizing canards. All examples would be designated the Yokosuka MXY6. One specimen would later be fitted with a Ha-90 4-cylinder air-cooled engine. In mid-1943, the Imperial Japanese Navy would witness the testing of the Yokosuka MXY6 glider plane firsthand. From all accounts, the glider performed marvelously, solidifying the canard as a beneficial design element for future aircraft. Representatives from the IJN were captivated by the efficiency and speed of the Yokosuka MXY6, so much so that development for a fighter aircraft was immediately approved, with the contract being handed to the Kyushu Aircraft Company of Fukuoka, Japan. Masayoshi Tsuruno himself was elected to help guide and lay the groundwork for the Kyushu plant engineers, following his initial concept down to the last detail. The Kyushu Aircraft Company was selected due to its comparatively light production quota, as opposed to Nakajima or Mitsubishi. In early summer of 1944, construction at the Kyushu facility had begun, with 2 planned prototypes being fabricated. The design features of the J7W are strange to say the least, but are in no way useless. The newly coined J7W1 Shinden employed a powerful pusher-type engine, making use of the Mitsubishi Mk9D radial engine, referred to as the Ha-43. Capable of 2,130 horsepower, this was one of the most powerful fighter engines of the Second World War. The wings are of a swept-back design and are mounted to the rear of the fuselage. Each wing boasts a vertical stabilizer. The engine was air-cooled, using 2 slender intake vents positioned on the fuselage at either end of the cockpit. The J7W1 was also equipped with a single supercharger. The insufficient intake, coupled with the powerful Ha-43 radial engine, led to overheating issues. The Kyushu J7W1 Shinden is a deceptively large aircraft, with a wingspan of nearly 37 feet and a dry weight of 8,036 pounds. The performance of this aircraft is quite impressive despite its size, having a top speed of 470 miles per hour when at an optimal power altitude of 28,500 feet. The service ceiling topped out at 39,000 feet, and the J7W1 had a max range of 529 miles. Armament was no slouch either, exploiting 4 30mm Type 5 cannons, with the ability to hold 4 130-pound bombs. By this point, we are roughly 4 months into 1945 when the first prototype rolled off the factory floor. While the Kyushu aircraft plant remained intact, U.S. bombers were well within range of the Japanese mainland. Continuous encroachment from U.S. forces, coupled with rampant material shortages, left the Kyushu J7W1 Shinden prototype dead in the water. Prior to production of the first prototype, plans to mass-produce the aircraft had been drafted, splitting manufacture between Nakajima and Kyushu. It was estimated that roughly 1,100 units could be completed from April 1946 up through March 1947. This would have placed a crippling workload onto the already war-strained Japanese industry. The first prototype would take to the skies August 3, 1945, being a successful flight. It was immediately apparent the Ha-43 engine was far too powerful and created a torque pull to the starboard side, as well as vibration in the extended drive shaft. During the 4th flight, flutter in the propeller was noted but did not persist. Test flights were performed from August 3rd until August 9th. On August 6th, a B-29 dropped the world's first atomic bomb over the city of Hiroshima, only 3 hours away from a testing facility in Fukuoka, Japan. The J7W prototype was in flight during the bombing of both Hiroshima and Nagasaki. While engineers at the Kyushu plant would tinker with the design further, all development would halt September 2nd, 1945, when the Empire of Japan surrendered to the United States. Of the two examples, unfortunately, one was immediately scrapped, while the other was preserved, being picked up by the Navy Technical Air Intelligence Unit. This organization was also responsible for recovering the Akuten Zero. It was dismantled and shipped back to the US for further examination. No test flights were ever conducted with the surviving example. In 1960, the United States Navy relinquished the aircraft for museum purposes, turning it over to the Smithsonian. The forward fuselage is now on display in Chantilly, Virginia, at the Stephen F. Udvar-Hazy Center. Other parts are stored separately within the facility, but as to why the aircraft is not reassembled for display is beyond me. Had we not dropped the atomic bombs and proceeded with the mainland invasion of Japan, the Kyushu J7W would have seen combat. Its purpose was to intercept bombing runs, and had it been refined, would have been a formidable opponent. With four 30mm Type 5 cannons, the Shinden fighter would have eviscerated US bombers. Germany is often touted for its wonder weapons amongst all warring nations of World War II, but Japan was not one to fold, having some of the most fascinating aircraft designs of the conflict. I'll bring you more oddball Japanese aircraft in the future, as they tend to fly under the radar. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Remember, we are a small channel, so a like is greatly appreciated. If you have a video topic you'd like to see, let us know down in the comments. As always, I am no expert and never claim to be. Until next time, on Tipton Bros.